chickadees. Happy Monday. Y'all, I have been counting the minutes until this evening for us to have this conversation with this panel. And I knew about it before all of you, obviously. And I've been super excited. We're going to get into it in just a few minutes, but I do want to take care of some housekeeping. I want to thank everyone for tuning in this evening and watching my channel. Make sure you do all of the Tubes of You things, like, subscribe, share, put your notifications on. You can become a member, and I'll have some members only content coming when we get our numbers up enough for a members only. So make sure that's available, or that is available to you as well. In addition, I did update the merchandise. It is easiest to get to the merchandise by clicking the little spring icon. It will take you directly to the store, and you'll get to see all of the items that you may purchase. And y'all know I added the kinky vodka. It's out there now. You could even get a shirt that says, just me and my kinky ... vodka. And of course, you got to make good choices. So that's out there too. So make sure you check that all out. Also, anybody on replay, thank you so much for taking the time. I have gotten a lot of comments as of late, and I respond to all of them, even the ones that don't sound so nice. I still respond to them. You just never know. I might be able to convert someone over to kindness. So with all of that being said, I want to thank you all again for joining, and we're going to get into the Zach Adams behind the scenes team from the post-conviction relief hearings, one of which was silenced for almost a year. Y'all, I couldn't do that. There's no way I could be silenced for a year. And we'll also have Mr. Dana McLendon with us. And we're going to talk all about your questions. And I have my list of questions as well. So without further delay, let me bring on Dr. Katie Spirko.
Hello.
And are you ready, Dana? There he is.
Hey.
Thank you so much for joining me this evening. I cannot thank you enough for taking the time. I know you're both busy and you have plenty of other things you could be doing besides talking to a crazy middle-aged lady on YouTube. So
we are so excited. We've been looking forward to this, and we are fans, and we're just looking forward to answering questions and chatting about this case.
Absolutely. Did y'all hear that? It sounds like they might be chickadees. So yeah, that's awesome. Well, I want to kick it off with something that has been kind of a burning question in my mind for quite some time. I want to know about the ATM. I want to know all about the ATM. How did it come about? How did you find out about it? What really happened as far as trying to get it? Where did it end up going? What was the timing of the prosecution butting their fannies into it? And what did Zach have to say about all of it? All of that stuff.
I will get through. So I'll start at the beginning. And if I'm going too fast or too slow, just jump in or
I'll tell you if you need to pump the brakes.
Yeah.
We're all good.
So the first time the ATM really came up, I was at Rita and Jimmy's house, the Austins, who are Shane's parents.
Okay.
And they have been a godsend in this entire case. They're just really great about putting us in touch with people who could talk. They are great record keepers. They've kept up on, they know a lot of the history. So they've been so helpful. I don't remember what we were meeting about, but we were at their house for some reason. And Rita had given me, both of them, they'd given me Jane's bank statement. And I'd had that from the case file, but I hadn't really paid much attention to it yet. But on their copy of it, their hard copy, they had written down the bank security manager, because it was Community South Bank at the time. And the reason it had come up is they had mentioned, because they would just, like, anything they could find, like, I'm just grasping at straws in the beginning and just looking for anything. And so when in doubt, I'd rather have too much data than not enough. So they were just kind of passing on anything they could come up with. And they remembered that this bank security manager had reached out to them, I think in 2019, and said that he had, back during the investigation, reached out to the TBI and offered to give the bank's security camera footage because Shane's bank statements had been subpoenaed. And the timestamps for the transactions were not on the bank statement. They verified that the dates were accurate, but they didn't have the timestamps. And so I was looking for anything security camera footage wise, whatever, to corroborate the actual times.
Because even back in 2011, that was a common thing. I have a financial background, so I know a little bit about these types of things. But even back in 2011, there would have been cameras on every ATM.
That's what I figured. Well, and we knew, I knew there was a security camera on it because the bank manager had reached out.
Right.
And so what he had told Jimmy and Rita was that when he'd reached out, he'd offer it, and TBI said they didn't want it or need it. And then it had gotten erased over in time. So I'm thinking maybe we can recover it. And so I was going on the internet, as people do, I found a forensic video recovery specialist who, he was awesome, and I've learned a lot from. He was saying that the technology back then was a little simpler than it is now, so that's a benefit to us, and that it might be easier to recover it. He explained it like an onion layer, that you're not actually erasing something, you're just filming over it.
Gotcha.
And basically, he kind of described it as like almost erasing with a pencil, and then you can still see what's left and make it out. Because
like an impression when you write on a piece of paper, and then you look at on a pad of paper, and you look at the paper underneath, and you can still see like what was written on the top page. Gotcha.
Yeah. So he thought his chances would be decent if I could get the actual device, the recorder. He said, because I didn't even know, like, where's the camera? Is it a camera in a machine? Is the machine have a camera? I mean,
right.
The weird things that you become experts in. I can tell you a lot about ATMs now and coyote scavenging. But so I'm going down this ATM path, and we're just trying to find where because the bank had changed from Community South to CBNS, and they'd swapped out the machine. And so that was actually a good thing, because it's probably sitting in the SEC, I think, is it SEC or one of the government agencies has a rule that you have to keep that stuff for, I always guess at 7 years, because it seems like most things you have to keep for 7 years.
Yeah. The CFPB usually steps in, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. That's part of what guide regulations. So that's probably who it was in reference to, the fact that we have to keep everything forever.
Working in the healthcare field, we have to keep everything for 7 years. And I think people often are more concerned about their money than their health. So I figure there must be similar or more stringent requirements for the financial sector. So I get a hold. So this guy he'd moved on and was working somewhere else. I get a hold of the current bank security manager and talking to him, just going around the circle of, where do you guys keep, because when you first call, they think you're crazy.
Right.
And then they realize.
Why wasn't the TBI? Well, yeah, I get that a lot too for myself, so I understand. But why wasn't the TBI interested initially?
It was actually at the time that it had come up. Terry Dicus thinks that because they'd already been ruled out, so because he had ruled them out a few different times, because they were just local troublemakers that would come up, because everyone who had an ex husband or neighbor they didn't like was saying they probably got Holly. So they had ruled them out a few times, and then they kept just kind of coming up. And so he wanted to, for good, really check their alibis and be extensive and comprehensive with it. So he had ruled them out, like the level that I don't care what anyone says. They're innocent. I know they're innocent.
Right,
The
right.
physics, so they have to be innocent. There's just no option. I remember when I was getting the AT, I was trying to get this, and Doug will worry about anything. So Doug, well, what if they're not on it? It's like, well, they are going to be on it because they were there. We know they were there, so they're going to be on it.
Right. It's just a matter of when were they on it.
When exactly. And we had a little bubble kind of just through the other pieces of data we were able to put together of when probably they were most likely going to be on it. And so what had happened was this bank security manager I was speaking with, he called me all excited because he found he was cleaning out the office and he found this CD that had 4/13/11 written on it.
Shut the front door.
So I'm, it's a big celebration. We're all excited. We think
that's a very specific date that anyone associated with this case knows.
So I'm thinking the retired security guard previously, because he was going to give a copy. I knew he had intended to give a copy to the TBI, but they didn't receive it. So I'm thinking maybe that's the copy that he was going to give them. So Doug files a subpoena and tells Jennifer Nichols that he filed a subpoena, and I'm all mad because Doug wanted to give her every benefit of doubt, and I could just smell it from a mile away. It's like, do something to you. Don't give her any information that she can use against you. I just knew she's going to do something. But he's,
Mr. Above Board. I know. Don't dog my Doug Bates, my Mr. Bowtie Bates. That's my boyfriend.
Doug will get you. He's going to follow every rule and every etiquette, and he's still going to win.
Yep.
So he went and subpoenaed it. We're all, I've cleared my day and I'm whatever. And I can't remember how. Somehow Doug and I were, I think we were going to be crossing paths or in the same area where we were going to meet up to look at it. Well, it was from like 6:30 or so in the morning until 8:30 or 9, and it was a tracking of all of the vehicles that had gone through the bank and their make and model, etc.
Oh,
but the CD didn't go. Sorry, there's some files that I'd found that corresponded to that video in the file that was like a TBI agent had gone through and reviewed it. But the video, it stopped at, I think, 9:30 or something. So and it wasn't the ATM footage. It was a forward facing camera from the bank. So what it was early on in the day when they were just looking for Holly, everyone locally who had a business was pulling their security camera that faced the main roads just in case they saw something that might be right. So that's what that ended up being. So when I was going into the case file to see if I could find anything that corresponded to this footage, I had found Terry Dykas's, when he had been reviewing those, the cars that had gone through. And he very distinctly remembered it was probably 5 pages. And he's been real helpful throughout as we're working on this. He'd remember things or be able to fill in some context. He was real confident that it was at least 5 pages and he'd gone through the whole thing. Well, the case file only had 1 page that dropped off. So that made me way more interested. Like at that point,
very suspicious.
Yeah, because someone has removed the review of this ATM from the case file. So that tells me basically to find what's important in this case file, you just look for what seems unimportant and seems like it's labeled in a way that no one would ever open it or it's buried in some. So as soon as that was missing, it's like, this is going to be important. So the bank security manager, I had been hassling him, like the poor guy. She said he thought I was crazy. I think crazy. He didn't think I was crazy, but he thought I was annoying, I'm sure. Because I was just like on schedule calling him, because if you're not annoying,
squeaky wheel gets the oil.
Exactly. So I was squeaking, and he would have a voice that he would answer where it's just like, you again. No, I still don't have anything. We had like a good band, but it was like still don't, frustrating. He actually, I think, got a little kind of excited to find it too. But I had been checking in with him. And so one day I call him and he's all excited when he answers, like the voice that you would have if you were expecting praise and
Oh, yes. I know that voice.
Yeah. So I'm like, oh, did you find something? Is there some news? And he sounds confused. Well, you guys already picked it up.
Oh,
And
no.
and then it's like, I like, right, because I do not give them any credit. I know exactly what they are up to. Unlike, I will not give them the benefit of doubt. I'm going to assume they're up to no good. And so it became quickly apparent that there's some piece of information that I don't have and he doesn't have, that we're not on the same page. And so before revealing that I didn't know anything or making it obvious to him, I was like, and oh, who signed that subpoena? Like, assuming I knew there was a subpoena, just like offhand.
Right.
Get him to look it up. So Kathy Ferguson. Of course it was Kathy Ferguson.
Of course.
So I would call him. He wouldn't call me. I would call him regularly.
Right.
So he didn't have my number saved. Apparently he had tried to get a hold of me when he had located the recorder. And
he wouldn't have known that you weren't associated with them.
Exactly.
I totally get that, but they knew what they were doing.
They knew exactly what they were doing. But
Yes.
that's what, and you'd think, like, what's the state gonna do? Hide it and steal it and cover up a crime? No way. They would do the right thing.
Oh, yeah, they would do that. I absolutely believe these crazy people would do that.
Yeah. And so, I mean, he calls a TBI to get in touch and had been assured that they would pass it on to me. And so he thought that I had it and I was calling him to thank him.
Oh.
And I had no idea. But so we learned that he had found it. He had called. TBI gets it and goes and intercepts it. And then he did. And I figured this would happen, which is why I was like, he's not going to talk to me anymore, because I guarantee, he's going to get some pressure. That's kind of what happens. And so I don't think I've talked to him since. But then it just became this, Dana, you can jump in, this back channel arguing between me and Doug about whether Doug should be more aggressive in calling Nichols out. And I thought he should, and he thought he shouldn't. And he was right, and I was wrong, because
she looked yeah, it was so bad. I tried to unmute you, Dana. Okay, you must have had yourself muted. Gotcha.
I didn't want to whack on the keyboard.
Yeah, the way that played out in the hearing,
it was.
She was so nasty. And I mean, is she still licensed?
We're talking about Nichols at her hearing. I'm thinking of when I was thinking of, but it wasn't televised. It was like the one day that there was no cameraman there was the day of the hearing. If you get any, do you want to tell Dana? Do you want to jump in and talk about?
So
this must have been in March then of
yes.
last year. Okay, because I know those hearings, it's really hard to find anything on them.
Or was it before March? It was March.
It might have been March. But the state had quickly sequestered this machine. And not only did they issue an administrative subpoena not through the courthouse, they issued it out of their investigative office in Nashville, so no one could know.
Oh.
And then when they picked it up, they had the gentleman sign a piece of paper that said, it's an ongoing secret investigation, and I won't tell anyone that you've been here and done this.
And what investigation? The case is closed.
So now, this is revealed inadvertently to Dr. Spirko. And so Doug starts, at this point, we do not realize that at least some of what's on that ATM recorder was on the hard drive given to the defense counsel in 2015, because it's been so deeply concealed and obscured and maybe even corrupted and all these other things. So we don't, at this point, know that video had in fact been collected way back then. We think the only version of it is maybe going to be available on the machine itself.
Right.
Okay. So Doug starts honing in on this machine, going to a hearing. And at the hearing, the actual legal issue was, Well, even assuming there is such a thing recoverable on the machine, so what? It's not new. It's not new science. It's not going to qualify for any relief under the statute and under the law. So Doug, nonetheless, is proceeding, look, at least we have the machine. We need to get it tested.
Well, at that point, they were saying it wouldn't be new evidence because we don't know that they're on the machine. Because before we had the footage and they knew.
Oh, they knew they were on that.
They wouldn't be on it.
So,
then once they realized they're on it, they switched from they won't be on it to they are on it, but it doesn't matter.
Well, so we get to the courthouse thinking that this hearing is going to be about, can Doug get the ATM device tested by an expert?
Right.
And the state starts throwing up all this smoke about, oh, it's not going to be new. It doesn't matter, whatever. Well, in what I can only describe as one of the very, very few Perry Mason moments in my life, 33 years in the courthouse, I'm sitting right behind counsel table up front. And the one of the DAs, Chris Boiano, comes up to the podium to make this legal argument about it doesn't matter if it's there, blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden, Zach leans over to Doug and starts yanking on his coat, and he's pointing at Boiano's device. And he's saying, that's us. That's me. That's the truck. That's what we've been looking for this whole time.
At the same time, we're seeing it from the pews. We're seeing there's some kind of picture. And actually, Jimmy and Rita were sitting catty corner behind me a ways. And so I was kind of looking back at them. And we're just all looking like that looks like a truck on Boiano's screen, but we can't see it. We're not close enough. Zach was close enough. He saw it and recognized it.
Yeah. So instead of now arguing about, well, what might be recoverable from this ATM machine that's in some state TBI locker, now Zach is seeing it live in front of him.
Wow.
And it's astonishing because so then you would think that, well, at that point, the state's going to quickly say, well, yeah, sure, here you go. No, Doug had to file still more motions, and it was weeks later, and it was the night before court at 8:00. Boiano files a response to Doug's motions to compel the state to surrender this, that, and the other. Doug has said, we saw it. We saw this thing. We need to know what it is. Where is it? The night before court, knowing that the gig was up, Boiano sends this response by email that has screenshots. Well, of course it exists. Everyone's had it the whole time. Click through these 15 folders, the names of which mean nothing at all. And then when you get to this folder, download this software package. And once you download that software package, click into all these other folders, and then you'll see the video that you're talking about.
And then when you watch that video, there's a code in it, and you find the leprechauns at the end of the rainbow and put your code in, and that's when you get the ATM footage. So,
now all of a sudden, and in one of these two hearings, I think it was this one, it was the first one, Judge Bradbury realizes that the state's subpoena is not in his file. And he's sitting up there on the bench, and he's talking to the clerk. He's like, let me see that. And he's asking the state directly, what subpoena are we talking about? Where is this subpoena? And it's only then that the state is kind of like, well, you see, what had happened was we had this secret subpoena issued out of our TBI office that we don't have to tell anyone about.
Danger.
Yeah,
don't do that.
He did not appear to be happy about that.
People think regular Bradbury is good looking. Mad Bradbury, I think he's that day.
So
I had a friend there, and she's like, "Is he single? He's not. He's married." Judges, sorry, but I do.
So anyway, at long last, this ATM surveillance footage comes tumbling out into the courtroom, and it's been an interesting row ever since. I think the state lost a tremendous amount of credibility
right out of the gate.
First saying, well, we don't even know such a thing exists. And of course, even if it does, it doesn't matter. And then when they had the machine, not immediately disclosing that. And then when they had the footage, not immediately sharing that, and only the night before court do they come up and say, oh yeah, well, it turns out everyone's had it all along. So
So
And
and personally,
there's
I
that's
think,
part of the official proceedings, and there's just integrity as a person. Whatever happened in court that was or was not on record, there was communication that was happening outside of court, and Nichols very much gave everyone the impression that this thing did not exist, and if it did exist, Zach was not going to be on it.
Oh, I watched the first trial. I saw how she played the fact of where he was at this supposed time and everything. Oh yeah. Oh no, look, go back and
well,
I didn't have to read transcripts. We watched it.
yeah. So they now they say, after hiding it, denying it, making Doug go back to court multiple times just to get it, now they say, we don't even think it doesn't even matter where Zach was. Who cares? So
Well, that's what she said in her closing argument. It doesn't matter.
that was I sat through that closing argument thinking, I think I've gone through the looking glass. I think someone in this room has completely lost the plot, and I hope it's not me, because
it looked like it.
Like, it can't be this.
Well, we watched it on my channel, and I happen to know that the first pew on Mr. Bates' side of the courtroom was family. And I had to pause it because there was
just her face.
Is that I don't know who the people are.
Someone was making a face that I
stopped it and I was like, oh my gosh, y'all, this lady is all of us. Like, what in the tarnation are we doing right now?
Hey, if you want to have a good time sometime, go back and pay a little attention to the corrections officers that have been transporting Zach, because there's a couple of moments where something happens in the courtroom, and especially the dude goes like this.
It's like The Office, watching everyone's faces on this case. And Doug is, I'm not making any facial expressions because I'm going to be respectful, and I'm not.
But then he does the nods.
He's just
I love his nods.
An entire closing statement just.
But then there were certain times, and they were perfect, when you just see a nod, and I'm like, yes, Bowtie Bates, we are with you.
Dog Bates, the bow tie baddie.
I was, that whole closing argument that Amy Wyrick did had me baffled. I didn't understand what in the world she kept acting like she was like playing to some jury, and it's like, ma'am.
Yeah, there were,
again, I am not an attorney, but I know as a juror and sitting in a courtroom with the proceeding that you are supposed to be presenting for, you need to be talking to Mr. Judge sitting at the bench, because he's the one that's got your fate in his hands.
Well, she did the same thing in her opening statement. She literally turned and argued into
empty chairs,
that the only person in the box was the man with the camera, and it was
well, that must be who she's arguing to the camera.
It was very strange, and I agree with you. Her entire opening and closing would have been questionable if there were a jury sitting there to receive it, because it was an emotional appeal, right?
Oh, totally. That's what the original trial was too.
But immediately after the closings, I went back and spoke to Doug's dad, Doug Bates III, who I've known for 30 years or something. And
Doug Bates III likes me better than Dana, just so everyone knows.
Well, everyone likes everyone better than me, so that's fine. But
that's not true.
That's not true.
He likes better than Dana. I'm sure, because I asked
Doug III made the comment. He said, she just spent an hour arguing guilt or innocence.
Yes.
That's not the question here.
And not arguing it in a coherent way either.
No, she completely, and I think this had to have been deliberate. They completely acted as if prosecutorial misconduct had not even been mentioned. And they completely acted as if the issue of actual innocence had not been raised. And you could see that was probably coming, because even during Jennifer Nichols' examination. At one point, she got frustrated with Doug and said, "When are we going to talk about Jennifer Thompson? I thought that's
I
what I was here to talk about."
know.
And it's like, no, ma'am.
She
No,
was.
ma'am. We're going to get her up here soon. We're here to talk about you.
You need to worry about you. But we call her the Penguin here on my channel. And there's a reason we call her the Penguin. And I never name call except when people are ugly. And when they're ugly, then they deserve all of the shade I can possibly muster. And she kept walking around that courtroom in the trial when we rewatched it on my channel. And I said, look at, she kind of waddles around like a penguin there. And that was it. All we could think of is the penguin from the Batman series and waddling around. And that is Jennifer Nichols. So she's called the Penguin on my channel.
That's
We have good Jennifer and we have bad Jennifer. She's bad Jennifer. So
you might change it to pufferfish sometime in the near future. No, Dana doesn't even get that joke. I sent you the I just messaged it to you now, Janet, the thumbnail we got for we're working on video we're going to be posting soon with Amy Wyrick's closing statement.
Oh boy. Yeah. And I don't know how to share from my text messages onto my computer. So, but I did get the stuff that you sent me earlier. So we'll definitely be able to do that. So
yes,
be
on the lookout soon we're going to be posting, we've got her closing statement and we put up some discrepant facts that I just couldn't help it because at some point it's just like, I can't
stop it.
I don't even know where to start with Wyrick's closing argument, but it is fair to observe that there were 2 or 3 times that. Yes.
Hold on, we're talking about something else.
No, just 1 second. I just want to get to a couple questions, and especially there's a super chat in here. I definitely want to get to that. So let me. That's not what I'm looking for. Sorry, Hyde.
I answered that one in the chat.
That's why I was trying to take it out of here. So let me get back to where I
think Julie
Janet. There, hang on just a second here. Yes, this is what I'm looking for. Julie, thank you so much for your super chat and your question. What will it take to help Dylan's, I'm assuming you mean Dylan's conviction overturned? Dr. Spirko, linebacker Nichols called you sketchy, if I remember correctly. Yes, we did call her a linebacker at one point too. I did not have.
Y'all are ruthless.
Oh yeah, I am very ruthless when it comes to people that behave the way she did, especially the way she behaved toward Holly Bobo's mother and making her fondle all of her dead daughter's belongings.
Weaponizing grief.
Ick. That is when I got ticked off at her. And I'm like, oh, no, ma'am. You do not do that to any loved one. That was gross.
It was
so
disgusting.
Gross. So she got all the names after that, Dana. Yeah, I'm ruthless.
As an over 55-year-old male with Caucasian skin and blue eyes, I am not allowed to remark upon the physical attributes or appearance of anyone.
Says the hot, crazy Matrix guy. Are you kidding me?
So it's funny you say that because
I was much younger then.
I go on Justice Served TV and Michael Bryant is on there and he has a clip and it is, I think it's Cardi B and she's like, typical man. And so anytime he makes a reference like that, he plays Cardi B. Typical man.
I love it.
The answer to the question regarding Dylan is that here in the near future, it is likely that that a lawyer will be filing an amended or a petition on behalf of Dylan to commence the same type of post-conviction relief process for him. That one's going to be different, though.
Very different, I would
very
say.
Different. For better, well, it's I'll have to kind of wait and see. But, you know, on the one hand, Dylan doesn't have a 9-day trial to go back and pick apart and see where the prosecution hid evidence or manufactured evidence or, you know, or coerced testimony that was perjury or whatever the things that Doug has been able to use. You know, Dylan entered what's called an Alford plea. So he didn't plead guilty. He said, I see that the evidence looks really bad and judge, I'm gonna let you go ahead and write down guilty, and I'll take my deal.
Right.
So there'll be some. I would anticipate that on behalf of Dylan, there'll be some issues raised for him that have not been fully explored in Zach's hearings. But because of the way they both got where they are, Dylan's PCR will be different and frankly maybe a little bit more difficult.
I
Which
think
is
it'll be more difficult.
which is
sadly.
crazy, because if you say to anyone who's not deeply immersed in post-conviction relief work as a lawyer, well, hey, one brother might get relief and the other not. That
Yeah.
makes no sense. That's
It
such an
do- yeah.
anomaly, and yet the law would permit that.
They'll both be out. They're both going to get out. It's just how much of a pain in the ass I have to be before it happens.
Well, and
Get out.
here's another question. And I guess this would go to you, Dana, probably more so. I don't know Judge Bradbury to know how he typically rules on things. I do know he's former military. He seems very no nonsense. I paid attention during the hearings when he would write down notes and what limited reaction he would have. What do you think is going to actually happen when he makes his ruling? What do you think his ruling will be?
Katie knows that I am just like a professional crank. Like
He is a crank. He's cranky.
Are you a curmudgeon?
I
He's a
wake up.
cranky, curmudgeon-y old man.
I wake up cranky, and I get crankier throughout the day. I become more cynical
Oh,
and more
no.
pessimistic, and then just before I'm ready to end it all, I watch an hour of Matlock and go to bed. So
The old one or the new one?
the old one, I didn't even know.
Oh, the
there
new
was a
one's
new one.
fantastic. The new one's fantastic.
So, but
Now
I
Dana's going to
found-
be wrapped up.
I found that Judge Bradbury he's one of the most Sphinx-like judges I've ever been in front of or seen. He reveals next to nothing.
I disagree with that entirely, but Dana and I argue about Judge Bradbury all the time, and
I thought towards the end he started to give away perhaps a little more. We'll see. But to answer your question, I suspect that he's going to rule to vacate the conviction. I think he's probably going to rule to vacate the conviction on both the grounds of ineffective assistance of counsel and prosecutorial misconduct. I think it's going to be an incredibly detailed, well-reasoned opinion coming out of him. I think it's going to be, I'd be shocked if it weren't something like 50 pages, could be more.
There's a lot to cover, so that wouldn't
Yeah, and by
surprise me in the
statute-
least.
Yeah, and by statute, he's obligated to make thorough findings of fact and conclusions of law. So he's going to have to go through and, say the court finds the following facts have been established by the evidence to the standard of clear and convincing, whatever. I think he's probably going to make some credibility findings, and that's really powerful, because aside from issuing an opinion that says, I vacate the conviction or not, if he attaches credibility findings to his findings of fact, that will insulate his opinion significantly. So if, for example, he says, I found witness X to be not credible because, or I found witness Y to be extraordinarily credible because even when it was damaging to themselves or the case, they
Right.
were nonetheless willing to say whatever.
So here's another question along those lines. Would sanctions then apply to officers of the court if he made those statements and those findings in his ruling?
Well, I mean, I guess potentially. So
It ain't good, that's for sure.
well, so the everyone that testified would be pretty much immune from any such thing as that.
Okay.
I suppose theoretically it's possible that if he felt strongly about it, he could theoretically make a referral to the Board of Judicial Conduct, maybe for Nichols' testimony. I don't know.
I mean,
That
don't you
seems
just
far-fetched.
want to crawl in his brain and find out what he was thinking when he was watching Jennifer Nichols testify? I mean, seriously.
I can't say what. Obviously, I've had no contact with Judge Bradbury outside of the courtroom, and even then, none other than when I went to the podium and spoke as Dr. Spirko's lawyer, briefly.
Oh, 100%. I'm like that comment. He was a public defender, so he's disgusted with LB shenanigans. Exactly.
I think, however, my observation, whether he says so or not, is that Judge Nichols was extraordinarily disrespectful, not only to Doug, but also to Judge Bradbury and his court.
The court in general, she was disrespectful. She was disrespectful to the entire process. That was what was so horrifying to all of us on my channel when we watched it, is I just couldn't believe this woman has the chutzpah to go in there and behave the way she did, and it's recorded. Like, this is a proceeding that anybody in the country can watch. And she seems so proud of her nasty, disgusting, despicable, disrespectful behavior.
Well, not just in the past, but also just, and I can only imagine that, I've been in courts for 33 years. I've occasionally testified for one reason or another. And it's a jarring and very different perspective, literally and metaphorically, to go from one place you're comfortable in a courtroom to the witness stand. And I thought that Judge Nichols she seemed very, very nervous to me.
She seemed like she was high on Xanax to me.
And I think that sometimes when people are very, very nervous, I think sometimes when people are very, very nervous, they use humor when it's maybe not perfect timing, or they become, combative or evasive or whatever in a way that was not helpful to her testimony.
She's a judge. She's supposed to have the temperament of being a judge. And that means that you're calm no matter the circumstances, which is why I could never be a judge. Cause I'm like, what?
Yeah. People.
And you have some respect. So I am a professional witness. If you don't like being challenged, and if you get defensive real easily and you don't like someone disagreeing with you, stay out of the court system. It is inherently adversarial, and to not have any respect for that and to know how to conduct oneself.
Well, keep in mind, as far as I know, Judge Nichols has done only a couple of things in a courtroom: prosecuted people and judged.
And committed Brady violations.
Well, I'm talking about in a courtroom. So
that's what I'm talking about too.
Okay. What I mean is, she's never been, to my knowledge, a defense lawyer. She's literally had the upper hand, leverage and power wise, pretty much every time she's been in a courtroom. So I think some of that showed through. When she was challenged. Imagine this: how many times has she been directly challenged by another lawyer?
Never.
It's one thing to have another lawyer go to the podium and address the court and say what my esteemed colleague just said is not persuasive or whatever.
And DB, for real, she lied to Judge Bradbury too. That is correct.
Well, here's the thing with Nichols is, it's not even we all watched the trial on my channel. She ruled that entire courtroom, all of it, judge included. And Judge McGinley may be a very, very sweet man. He was a despicable behaving judge in that trial as well. And I mean that with all due respect to his position, but you get what you give. And what he gave was, he didn't give a crap. Trial.
I think Judge McGinley at this trial kind of had, to me, his demeanor revealed that he thought they were wasting his time. He thought they were wasting everyone's time. Why are you here? You should have pled this out. Everyone knows he did it. And the longer it went, the more seemingly frustrated he got that they were still having to do it.
Yep.
So it was.
Yeah, let's move it along.
Yeah,
move it along.
It was not his finest hour.
Oh,
sure.
No. Oh no. It was ugly, and it made me ill to see an officer of the court behave the way that he did, what he allowed Jennifer Nichols to get away with. Not just Jennifer Nichols, too, because Hagerman, he did that opening statement, and I'm like, why are you whispering? I can't hear a word you're saying, because he was doing this whispering thing to the jury. And I'm like, just talk, like project, do your job.
PTSD from working with Nichols, I think.
It probably is, the poor man. So
Well,
I do want to move on to another topic, if y'all don't mind.
Dr. Katie, can you break down how Dana would be as a judge? Let's don't do that. Let's don't.
I have all kinds of opinions about how Dana would be in various situations that I could share with the group.
I would last. I would last as a judge not very long, because I think I would probably be sitting on the bench one day, and they'd bring something in, and I'd probably say, "Counsel, come up here."
He just tells too
Listen.
many stories.
I'd say, "Counsel, come up here. I'm going to take 5. When I get back, I need your best witness on the stand, because this one ain't it. Court's
I'm
adjourned."
going to need you to make a better choice.
Gonna-
Yeah, we couldn't be, Judge McGinley couldn't be bothered because, it was football season, and he had to watch his Vols, I'm pretty sure. So
I think Judge McGinley may have been in a rather potentially vulnerable cognitive state, given how he has dementia, and dementia doesn't start in a year or two. So I think he probably was in a prodromal stage, and
you would know better than we would. So
I
don't mean it in that way.
I have coached a really bad elementary t-ball team.
Okay, so what I wanted to move on to, I have like 2 very important things I want to make sure that we talk about. Well, technically 3, but the first one I have is, have you watched the entire hearings now, Katie?
I have watched all of it. I've entirely caught up.
How did you stay away? Because literally, like when Jennifer Nichols was going off the rails on the witness stand, how are you not like, what's going on? What's going on? What's going on? I wouldn't be able to do that.
I don't think this is probably a great topic.
Let's just say,
I will say this. I did my best.
Let's say this.
I don't blame you.
Dr. Spirko
I did my best.
Dr. Spirko is fierce but not stupid, and more than one person was explaining to her the gravity of the circumstance, and how important it was that the hearing be conducted properly.
Of course. Yeah, it was a thought that came to me after the fact when you were finally able to like be involved, and I'm like, oh my gosh, she doesn't know everything that happened. Oh my word! Like I would have to sit down and immediately binge watch everything.
That's what I did. That's what I did.
Leave me alone, everybody.
And Doug wanted me to update him. He wanted me to get caught up as quickly as possible so that he could finally discuss the case with me. And I caught up. Busted through all of it, got up quickly, and he said, "How'd you get through it that quickly? How'd you stay awake?" And I said, "You asked me to catch up quickly, and if there's one thing I know how to do, it's closely follow an instruction."
Well, and not only that, it's Tennessee.
Yeah.
I tease about this all the time, but Tennesseans talk slow, so I could have rewatched it on my own at 2 times speed.
Oh yeah.
On my channel most of the time at 1.5, and it was not like
Yeah, I think there was probably a stimulant fueled binge session with chipmunks going is probably what it sounded like. But
I'm all caught up. I've seen all of it, and it is worse than I even imagined.
Oh, no kidding. So I do want to circle back to conversations with Mr. Bates because, I want to know more about that. But right now, I want to talk about Mitchell Hayes.
Boat guy. I feel bad for that guy. honestly.
What a
He's an
buffoon.
adult. He's a consenting adult, and he decided to do what he did. So, I mean, I don't fault anyone who's making fun of him. And we don't punch down. And the problem of the world is not Boat Guy so much as Brent Booth and the people who allow Boat Guy to be in that situation that by his body language, he clearly did not want to be in. And
Put him in that situation.
Oh my goodness. When Judge Bradbury said he could get off the stand.
Yeah. I thought,
Looking.
I felt bad for that guy. He clearly felt very conflicted. To me, he appeared to be a guy who wanted to be helpful to someone, but wasn't entirely comfortable with what he was doing.
Seemed like someone that got bamboozled by Brent Booth and pressured into doing something that he did not feel right about or comfortable with, and got in over his head, and ended up having to say some shit on the stand that he did not feel comfortable about, clearly by his nonverbals and paraverbals. He was not.
We all know that didn't happen.
We all know that didn't happen.
Everybody knows that didn't happen.
As a memory expert who has studied the hippocampus for a long time.
Yeah.
And who goes through a school pickup line with a boat?
With a boat, nobody. Nobody.
That's not even like.
That wasn't.
If I made a list of the problems with his testimony, I guess I might put that on there, but that wasn't even top 10.
So Mitchell Hayes was like an old piece of necessary tape.
Well, I was just rough. Curious because as you know, juror perspective here, because that's what we do on my channel. I did not find anything about his testimony to be compelling, nor did I find it credible. And just because I don't find someone credible on the witness stand does not mean that I think they're a bad person or that I think they're a liar or any of those things. I'm just saying it didn't play quite how I think the prosecution wanted it to play.
No, and
the theme of this whole case is things aren't playing out the way that I think they wanted them to.
I thought that, frankly, I thought the prosecution did themselves absolutely no favors with any of the witnesses they called.
No.
I thought the only one that was neutral was the comptroller guy who had all the charts and everything about Jennifer Thompson's time. I thought, I get why they're doing that, but like the one question that Doug Bates asked him, do you see on there anywhere that they were reviewing the ATM video? I think I know who helped him write that question, but that guy was probably neutral, maybe helpful, whatever. I doubt very seriously Judge Bradbury either way is going to hang much on that one. I thought the Frizzell guy got flipped completely around, and
gosh, that was a disaster.
It was a disaster, and I think that the boat guy was up there and they should have never called him. If that guy showed up, banged on their door and said, you got to hear what I'm going to say, they should have told him, thanks, you're about 14 years too late. You can go home now. But they didn't. And again, I'll reference what Doug Bates III said when I talked to him after watching Mitchell Hayes testify. He said, never, ever end a trial with a witness like that.
No.
I was like,
if you have any other witnesses to call that you had any intention whatsoever of ever calling, that'd probably be the time. And what they do, close their proof.
They're like, deuces, we're done.
What? Yeah, that was weak sauce. It was strategically very bad to make that guy the last witness. If you just insisted upon putting him on the stand.
And then in my closing, the last thing I would do is call him the most credible witness that any ever
but
seen. Wait a minute.
We've already gone through the whole Jason Autry was the most credible witness too. So I mean,
that's before Boat Guy.
Well, before Boat Guy came along and raised the bar still further.
Yes.
And if you had written your closing argument before Boat Guy testified and you decided that you were going to say that about him, right? I don't know who all noticed, but when Judge Bradbury said, thank you, sir, and everybody was done asking him questions, Judge Bradbury wanted to make sure that he had written on the exhibit where blah, 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 blah. And Judge
Yes.
Bradbury took it and he said, oh, yes, he has marked here where he claims he heard the shot.
I know, I caught that too.
Not he's marked where
Exactly.
he heard the shot. Because
Right.
those are subtly different, but
Especially
profoundly different.
Especially from an officer of the court, because words matter when you
Words
are
matter.
when you are arguing, when you are talking in a courtroom, words matter. And so saying something like that, yes, it's like saying alleged before things all the time, because words matter. So along those lines, since one of you brought him up, I don't remember which one it was.
Hey,
The
Kat.
cell phone data. Hey, Kat, how are you? The cell phone data. So I watched the original trial, was totally lost watching the trial. I'm like, what are we doing? What does this say? I can't see the screen. I don't know if that matters. I don't know what any of this means because can't see the exhibits. Okay, that must be why I didn't understand. Then he comes to the post-conviction relief hearings, and I'm sitting there going, sir, you are not making this any better.
Well,
So
it's
can
not
you
really
give
his
me-
job to make it better. I think I'll give Frizzell credit for this much.
For spinning it?
He knew what the data showed, and he was willing to say it when asked pointed questions about what it was.
Yes, yes.
So I'll give him credit for not doing what some of the other witnesses did, which was, I don't remember, or fuzz this thing up or lie. At least when he was forced to admit, yep, that's the direction of travel, he did.
At least when that TBI agent was forced to answer a direct question of which there is a clear factual answer, he did, as opposed to many others who couldn't.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, I'll give him that much credit. But I do think Doug completely flipped him.
Well, and I'll tell you, watching it, I was lost when the prosecution tried to continue down this path of, they were intersecting and they were together, and I'm like, no, they weren't.
They don't understand the data. They didn't understand it in 2017.
Is
and
that
they
what
don't
the
understand
issue
it
is?
now.
Is that truly what the issue is? Because
Part of it.
my question that I wrote down that I wanted to ask was, can we dumb down the cell phone data? Because it seemed like this is the first trial I've ever watched that cell phone data seemed complicated and difficult. And I'm like, it should
by design, it's not that complicated.
No, I was here, and then there was this here, and then here, and like, what are we doing? So,
okay, so Holly's phone traveled north from 811 to 826, stopped in the area where her remains would eventually be found 3 years later for half an hour. At 856, it started going back. Eventually is east first and then south.
It went east.
Yeah, and then south. And so
and drew a nearly perfect circle around Terry Britt's home.
And
funny how that works.
Ends up at Gooch Creek in a secluded back road where there's a culvert where her lunchbox is found, and a notebook down the creek where the phone would have been disassembled. And that's the data we have on that. Zach was active on his phone the morning of the 13th, beginning at 8:26, I think was the first one.
Right around there. 8:22, 8, something like that, I remember.
Whatever Wyrick said in her closing was wrong.
Yes.
It was not that. But so he was on his phone till a little after midnight arguing with Rebecca Earp because they were fighting about something. Yep. And then 8:19 or 8:20, I think it's 8:26, then 8:35, there's an 8:50 something. 8:39, he made a Facebook post. And so these calls, he's bouncing off of his home tower, and it's the
entire time.
And it's literally how Holly is moving north and then stopping at the location where her remains are found. He is on his home cell tower.
Yep.
Messaging with people, talking to people, and posting on Facebook. And so later, the next activity we have, this 10:32, 10:35, 10:38, where he's driving west on the interstate. That's the time slot that Autry used in seeing that he was on Birdsong on Birdsong East and trying to like make a whole story out of that. His drug dealer lived in that sector as well, and so he probably was just popping down to get some meth and driving back home. That's what it looks like.
Well, I figured the place under the bridge by the Tennessee River that they went to, I just figured that was a place they'd go to do drugs.
100%. So
that's what it is.
I mean, no one said that to me, but I'm like, it's secluded. Nobody can see you. It's quiet. You can enjoy the nature.
Here's the cell phone data. Here's the cell phone data in a real short summary. Holly Bobo's phone is never co-located with any of the 4 suspects / defendants, ever.
Correct.
2, the cell phone data shows that at some point, Zach and Autry are almost certainly together, returning from the area around the bridge by way of the interstate back to the exit to go to Parsons,
where Zach's drug dealer lives, and another close acquaintance of both of them also happen to live. And
3, Jason Autry's story about how they went to the river and back on these back roads cannot be true for 2 reasons. Number 1, they would have had to have lit up a sector of the cell tower that they never did because they were on the interstate. So that makes Autry's "we came back the same way we went" more or less a lie. And 2, they cannot make it from the bridge back to Parsons in time if you go the back route. So Jason Autry's testimony,
front and the back route doesn't work because the 930, 926.
Jason Autry's testimony is demonstrably disproven by the cell phone data that in just Zach and Jason Autry's cell phones. Holly Bobo's phone tells exactly what happened to her that day.
So along those lines, since we're talking about Jason Autry, 2 questions in reference to him. The first one, because it wasn't televised and I came in after the fact. Why wasn't Jason Autry's, the recording of him recanting his testimony, is there an explanation as to why Judge Bradbury did not allow that in?
Yes.
Yeah, he made the right call.
I think he was correct in his legal analysis of that one.
And I'm not questioning it. I just wanted to know what
the reason is, because when Jason Autry was, quote, unavailable for the trial for various real, manufactured, and nefarious reasons, his video became hearsay. And under the rules of...
She doesn't probably know. So I'll stop. I promise I won't keep... I know commenters. I interrupt him. You can tell me again.
You be you. It's okay.
The hearing in March, Autry was supposed to testify. It was March 21st. March 18th, he ends up on a ventilator while in federal custody.
Oh, see, no, I did not know that. Yeah, I don't know all the background. That's why I was asking.
He ended up on a ventilator for reasons no one knows or can explain, and was not able to be present. And the prison kept having all these issues, so that his appointed attorney couldn't.
Well, that's a coinky dink.
Okay. So when Autry, for a variety of reasons, real, imagined, manufactured, and nefarious, was not available to testify at the trial, at the post-conviction relief, his video became hearsay. And under the rules of hearsay, where the judge, I think, correctly ruled, was because Autry's testimony was not given in a way that exposed him to any penalty for lying, it was not admissible. So I think the judge got that one right. But that if Judge Bradbury goes and rules to vacate the conviction, that will actually be better for Zach on appeal, because then the state won't have that issue to whine about.
True. And then the other part of Jason Autry is, I want to know what it was like to be in the room with him, because I watched the recording of him recanting. And I have to tell you, I was really super conflicted by the end of it, because I literally felt compassion for him, because I did feel like he genuinely felt awful about what he had done. And it's hard to feel that way when you know how awful some of the things are that he's done, but he's still a human being. He's still somebody's daddy. He's still somebody's son. He's still somebody's brother. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I will say this. I am a professional lie detector. I meet with a lot of people who lie really well. I'm not someone who I think anyone would describe as gullible. That doesn't mean I always get it right,
Sure.
but I'm mixing in my intuition to some degree. We all do that and are biased by it with the clinical signs that we know accompany genuine recollection versus efforts to deceive. There were a couple points in the interview where I think he could have expanded and given some more information. I did
too.
I think he was completely genuine. I think he feels awful about it. I think it haunts him. I think he was in a really difficult spot in terms of, and he had a drug problem, and I'm not saying he was a Boy Scout. I don't think he is a psychopath or a sociopath. I don't think that he gets pleasure out of other people's pain. I absolutely do not see, I do not think he's a sexual sadistic predator in any sense whatsoever. And he didn't have any reason that the recant would not have benefited him. And people are kind of like asking, well, why now? Why now? Well, because he finally had an opportunity, because the TDOC or whoever it is, Dana, allegedly, I'm saying allegedly, we couldn't find him.
Well, I'll tell you.
And so the first chance he got to talk to someone who he had any thought that he might be able to trust to not just bury everything he said, he got it all out.
Well, and on my channel, when we watched it, and he got to the part, it's toward the end, and he's talking about like a paranormal experience.
Okay. And I watched that stream
because our lady Zelda that we are channel friends with, I'm like, oh, we need to get her doing something with this. So I may still end up doing that with her.
I found that moment of his interview to be extremely reassuring, and the reason for that is, and Kat and I are going to be on, I think Thursday, I don't know if we've confirmed it, but I think Thursday we're going to release something soon, or sometime around then we're going to release the interview I did with Janet Britt and do some commentary and go through that. It's recorded, so we'll all be on the edge of our seats to see if I misrepresented myself and threatened her. We'll see. But that'll be fun.
Yeah. Hey, Katie, by the way, I'm almost done editing out the part where you threatened her.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot.
Is Dana clearly with his tech skills, he's totally going to be.
Yeah. It's like me trying to do it.
My bad. Are we live?
Well, now I really forgot what I was even saying. You can't.
You're talking about Jason Autry and having the test and being in the room with him.
Paranormal thing.
And
because I met with Janet Britt very shortly before then, and I talked to her a little over an hour, and she was much more open than I anticipated she was going to be, and shared a lot. And one of the things she shared with me is that she kind of excused a lot of Terry Britt's behavior, that he had this depression, that when he drink, his depression gets so bad. And she had shared the same thing with me, that he was talking to someone in the bedroom and would come out to the kitchen. There was this like a ghost of a girl that he was talking to, and would hear this ghost of a girl. And Janet Britt's not, no one's heard Janet Britt's voice that I've know of. She's never testified. When I talked to the law enforcement officers that were on the case who would kind of give me feedback, they were not optimistic that she would talk to me at all. They said that their feedback was that she's crazier than he is and is unlikely.
I think that's probably true.
And so no one could have possibly known that. It wasn't in any, it's not in the case file. So Jason Autry putting that random piece of information in his story and me knowing it's true or at least whether it's true or not, me knowing that is indeed something that Terry Britt was alleging, it gave a lot of credibility for me.
My jaw just, I was like, what? Oh my gosh. I could not believe that I was hearing that. And all it does is, I mean, we all know that Terry Britt is the number one suspect for anyone that is truly interested in finding or following the facts of this case. And so to get some sort of confirmation like that of what his guilty conscience and what his guilt looks like on a daily basis, that was really, really eye-opening to me. So yeah, I definitely
watching you watch it, because I think watching your facial expressions reminded me of how I felt when I was feeling the same thing when I'm sitting there. I wasn't expecting any of that. I'm just trying to keep my shit together until I get.
I know. See,
it was crazy. I did not think that he would.
Yeah. And you know, it's great to have a face that has subtitles when you are doing this. Not so good in the public sometimes to have your face give subtitles. So yeah, while it serves me well here to have all of my reactions, I have to make sure that I don't do that all the time. But I do want to talk now about you and Zach had a little conspiracy going on, and you were participating in what shall I say, accessory after the fact. That was what the accusation was in the courtroom. I'd like
Did
you
you actually accuse me of that, or was it was a strong implication?
It was a strong enough implication that I walked away thinking that. So
yeah, definitely.
And I'm just a regular juror, so there you go.
They really
Dr. Spirko, as your lawyer, do you remember all the things we talked about and how to explain this in a way that does not get you indicted?
No.
Okay, well then just tell the internet the truth. We'll do the best we can with it.
I mean, it's gotten me this far. So Brent Booth kept following me around Parsons, and he and Kathy Ferguson would go out, and anyone I'd talk to, anything I do, they'd get over there and I'd find out about it. It was a bit much. Then Brent Booth retires. He's still doing it. But they were just, I was sending Brent Booth on some wild goose chases because he clearly.
Excellent. I mean, if you're going to redirect someone's campaign website to innocentbrothers.com, the least you can do is send an investigator that's wearing you out on some little wild goose chases. I am here for that kind of tea. Absolutely.
Yeah, keeping in mind that they were listening to every call Zach had, including with Katie.
I think they would not give me non-recorded lines. So it's like, well, that's on you then. I guess you'll have to hear. I think what Doug was most nervous about the entire trial was if I were to get called on the stand and then playing jail calls, him just knowing how I am.
Sorry.
So I would send Brett Booth on some wild goose chases because he clearly did not have enough to do and wanted to track down whatever I was into anyway. So I gave him some projects. So Zach, for his part, didn't even really I think that I felt bad when I saw that because that looked a lot shadier than it was on the stand without knowing the context. He didn't even really know what we were talking about when he said because he was just kind of playing along because we just do that to mess with them sometimes.
Well, it was funny when he was on the witness stand and you could see he was kind of like, what? And then all of a sudden it clicked in his mind and knowing after the fact what it was. And he's like, yeah.
So
well, Zach's Katie's ride or die. He wasn't gonna give her up no matter what. He'd have been like, play the tape. I don't know what you're talking about. That didn't happen.
It did. So. And so I think his memory, I think he was saying what an accurate memory was for him because he didn't know what it was that I was planning on burying.
Right.
And I'm saying planning, I'll tell you.
But it wasn't a murder weapon.
No, does everybody want to see in
I sent
real life
the picture.
Oh, y'all have to see
the items that I was.
This is the first item that was going to be buried on behalf of Zach Adams. There you have it. That is the one and only Nicolas Cage in a fluffy looking banana peel. So that's really nefarious now, isn't it? Not at all. Let me get you back.
That's not all.
I know. I'm going to get the other one pulled up here because this one makes me giggle so much more.
It's, you don't know what someone's taste is or something. For every Nicolas Cage fan in your life who wants to commit search without a warrant. Is that the law? I don't know.
Okay, and so but the banana peel blanket wasn't your style, that's okay. We got pillows.
Mm-hmm.
You know those glitter ones that you could swipe back and forth,
up,
and it's just
down.
Glitter one way and crazy maniacal Nicolas Cage the other way. I would have loved to have been able to see these be buried and then see Brent Booth's face when he I've got it. I've solved it.
I would plan my shenanigans to coincide with other actual plans that I had for the case so that I wasn't wasting gas. So I knew I was going to be down in Parsons. I had the day. I had all my materials together. I had a trail camera because what I was going to do was I actually wasn't going to bury it. I was going to put it in Dick's deer stand, and then there's a tree that I could put a trail camera on. So I was going to hook the trail camera up to get a picture of him because if he was trespassing on property without a search warrant, I don't know what you do with that as a citizen, but
oh, come on, Katie. You know darn well you were recording that because you wanted to see his face, because that's why I'd record it.
I wanted to get him in trouble somehow. But then Doug got this was one of the things, because we all have our different thresholds and we kind of know how to deal with each other and tolerate each other. Sometimes though, you're off. And this was one that I was off because Doug got real worked up about this one. You can't. He would work himself. So I didn't end up doing it. That was one of the things that Doug ruined for everyone.
Oh boy,
ruined for everyone. That's one.
Ruined it for everybody, Mr. Bowtie Bates. How dare you?
Can I let me tell you a real quick anecdote, right now. So as you can imagine, there were some, let's say, tense, terse conflicts among members of Zach's team.
A lot of big personalities.
A lot of big personalities with a lot of experience and a lot of strong.
That's how work gets done, though.
About what to do, what not to do most of the time. And there was, I don't even remember what we were arguing about. I have no idea what we were arguing about, but we were really at an impasse. And Katie kind of threw down a gauntlet with Doug and said, well, Doug, you're going to do what Dana says. You're going to do what I say. And Doug's comment to me was, well, Dana, if I needed a battle buddy, man, I would pick you 100 times out of 100. You are one of the best allies I could ask for. However, Katie is the worst enemy anyone could ever have. So I'm going to have to do what Katie said.
Hey, don't mess with the women that can get crap done.
Exactly. Love or fear.
Yeah.
You can't have both.
I mean, so that was one of the topics I wanted to discuss as well, is I have obviously never spoken to Mr. Bates. My first recognition or knowing anything about Mr. Bates, of course, was this hearing, or anything about his esteemed lineage. And I want to know, because as a watcher of the hearings, I cannot tell you how much I adore this man for taking on what he took on, and also for just doing the job that he's done. I want to know about Mr. Bates, because he'll never come on any channel, I wouldn't imagine, because that's just not his style. That's not what he does. I totally get that. But I want to know. I want to know the man, the myth, the legend.
He's completely self-deprecating. He's got a great sense of humor. He is one of those attorneys. There are some attorneys that have never had a guilty client. And so as an expert who works with attorneys a lot, you kind of know who's going to give you more of the real story than the other. Doug is both an excellent attorney and a real straight shooter, in the sense that if he has bad facts, he's not going to try your case. He's going to tell you, like,
you need to take a plea.
this sucks for you and you're not in a good spot. But if it's an impossible, like Doug is the attorney I will recommend. If you had some weird, crazy shit show of a case where you are like legit in the right and you didn't do, but you look crazy if someone's not going to take the effort and everything and figure it out because it sounds unbelievable, Doug's your guy. He's your attorney. And so this was the perfect case for him because he's open-minded and he'll give people the time to talk. He has a lot of anxiety when, I don't know if that's in general or just situationally specific, and Dana and I being around him doesn't help that because we like to poke at him.
I feel like he kind of doesn't give himself enough credit.
He does not give himself enough credit.
He's starting to.
I was going to, and everyone watching is literally, okay, so like a lot of my channel followers are from, or at least closely followed the Karen Reed trial. So we were Alan Jackson. And
I love Alan Jackson.
When you have that kind of charisma and that ability to really enrapture a jury and people listening to you, that's a special quality. And not a lot of attorneys have that. And no slight or anything to Doug. He is not one of those kinds of attorneys, but what he is just doggedly factual and just keeps the train moving down the tracks. And I love that. In the end of his closing argument, when he was talking about how disgusted he was at the things that he saw, that was so profound. I'm telling you,
Doug,
that's when he won me over completely, that I was like, oh, you are just a baddie.
So Doug's like the nerdy kid in chemistry class who's actually kind of cool. But
right.
Pocket protectors and he doesn't like to do social things, but you'll like joke in class and they'll be cool.
So Doug is the 7th generation of Bates men practicing on the square in Centerville. And he has what I told him I thought was generational honor, meaning everything Doug does in a courtroom or in a pleading, his great grandfather is watching, right? And so when Doug was somewhere along the way late in this thing, I said to him one day, well, it's time to go become a Bates. And he killed it at that closing. I would tell you that, see this here, the Tennessee Rules of Court. Mm-hmm. These are all the rules that we as lawyers have to live by. Doug's is a hardback volume. His doesn't bend. Mine is.
He's a hall monitor of everything.
Mine is a little more flexible. Doug is a little bit of a hall monitor type, but only when he's on the clock, right? Like
right. So he seems like he's not
a stuffy guy when he's
right. I would never ever get that from him. I didn't get that impression.
He's the type, he'll call you though if he like had a dream that he lied to you because he just feels guilty.
He's
truly one of those people who it's not even a choice for him. He has too much anxiety to do the wrong thing. So
he's just good and kind.
Yeah, if I ever had to beat Doug, I would just cheat a little bit and he'd lose because he can't do it.
The funny thing about it is, not too long ago, there was another very well-known attorney family, only this one would have been in South Carolina. And to see the difference of a 7-generation family that is esteemed and done everything right and hasn't thrown their power around for their own good compared to the Murdoch family. I mean, it is literally night and day. And I think that's one of the reasons I enjoyed watching him practice law.
They're
His
just good
closing,
people. And Doug 3, I've known his dad too. They're good people.
Yes.
And they're fun. Like, you would like them. You'd like to just sit and have a beer with him. You would trust them with your children and your money. They're just good people.
and Doug made the kind of closing.
Oh
that
my
you
gosh,
can-
doggedly factual with the DAWG.
Doug made the kind of closing that you can only make if you have earned the right to do it. And
Yeah.
his polite outrage, the tone he took with the indignation.
Yes.
And I thought it was obvious, in case it wasn't, when he talked about the prosecutor who had published his resignation letter and accused a judge publicly
Yes.
of being corrupt. That was his father.
Was it?
His father was sitting a couple of rows behind us, and Doug told that
Oh.
anecdote about why he was standing there saying what he was saying in the face of the power of the state, because that's what he learned to do before he went to law school.
I used to tell my son all the time growing up that you have choices. And of course, it's a mantra on my channel to make good choices. However, in addition to that, you can either be right or you can do right. And sometimes those two things are not the same. And that's when it gets really tough to be a human being, because sometimes doing the right thing isn't necessarily going to make you look great or win big honors, but it's the right thing to do. And they seem like they're a family that is the mantra they live by, is do right. It doesn't matter if you get to be right or not. The rest will take care of itself.
Yeah. Can you imagine if, having behaved the way they behaved throughout this hearing, if the state had gotten up there and gone on this, trust me, this is an outrage type closing. I mean, they did a little bit of it, but like I said, Doug's closing capitalized on the integrity that he arrived with and that he built in that courtroom over the past year.
And he
What
earned.
about Lyric?
Oh, I like Lyric.
Said Amy Kryrick.
Everybody gets a nickname.
Oh, they do for me. Yeah, we've got all kinds of nicknames on Ms. Demeanor's channel. Yeah, you got to talk in code sometimes, you know.
Hey, Weinrich.
I like Weinrich too. Yeah, that goes with my Wine and Crime Wednesday. See, yeah, I will tell you, his performance in these hearings earned him a tremendous following, because of the way that he carried himself, because of the way that he handled, well, really, truly, how he handled Despicable the Penguin. I mean, I don't know if
he did not take any pleasure. It's wasted on Doug, because there'd be so many people out there who could have done.
Oh, I'd be one.
I mean, maybe
put her up there. Let's have it. Let's go.
Yeah, but
come on, Tootsie.
People who would have enjoyed. I would have enjoyed it. People would have enjoyed having the opportunity. Doug he would have loved to be able to have the right thing happen and have the conviction overturned without ruffling anyone's feathers. If there is ever an opportunity to not ruffle feathers, Doug is going to find that opportunity.
But I think he got
ruffling them on the way
in. I feel like even with her, some of his outrage did come to the forefront, and it was okay. I liked it, because he kind of was like, wait a minute, but you said, and I was like, oh yeah, get him, Mr. Bowtie, get him. Because
if Doug is the litmus test, if Doug is at the point where Doug's going to talk some shit, you deserve it.
Well, I think that's right, because there were many times that he did not take the bait. There were many times that one witness or another threw something out there and he just, nope, not doing that.
Every time I wanted him to take the bait.
Oh yeah. If you ever want someone to like break your trigger button, give it to Katie. like she'll start hammering that thing. Doug is a little bit more measured with it.
I completely identify. I cannot stand by, and if something like that is happening, I'm just like,
Yeah. That's
I
what
I
do.
can't. It's I shouldn't say impossible. It is very, very difficult. I work in management, so I have to temper myself.
I'm
but
the most unmanageable person that you've ever met, and poor Doug.
I'm not easy to manage either, so I get that.
I'm not in management because I can barely manage myself.
Sometimes I told
Yes,
Doug that the greatest service I had rendered to Zach was to take Katie aside and get play interference between her and Doug sometimes.
Well, but I totally understand where you're coming from. I have a really hard time when I see wrongs being committed against people. I have a really hard time when rules are supposed to be followed a certain way and people think they don't apply to them, that they're above it. And that's kind of what was so enraging about this case. And I couldn't understand. I would talk to other people with other YouTube channels and they weren't covering anything. I'm like, why? This is probably the most outrageous and egregious act of prosecutorial misconduct that I have ever seen.
I think it's going to go down in the history books, and it's just
definitely in Tennessee
caught on yet because it is so complicated. It really is a case that you have to have some patience, and that you can't, there's not an elevator speech where you're going to get everything, and there's levels and a facet, because it's actually how corruption happens, because it's not easy. You don't just go in and there's a page here that says we're all making this shit up, and it's I mean, people are lying and they're trying to make it seem like it's something else, and they're gaslighting, and they're making you seem like you committed a crime if you're not willing to just lay over and take it.
Right.
It's all the pressure that comes in. It's harder than you like. I felt it a lot, and I think if there's one, I'm pretty resistant to that stuff in general.
Well,
it's heavy to feel that. It's real.
Yeah.
Heavy.
And well, I've been asked, people will say, well, why do you believe in Zach Adams' innocence? And I'm like, I will tell you one reason, and one reason alone. Well, I could probably give them two, but the one reason is the cell phone data proves on that morning that he was never in the same place as Holly Bobo's cell phone data says. And when I tell people that, they go, what?
Yep.
And I go, yeah. And there is no evidence. None. There is no evidence
Zero.
that supports a conviction of him. And then they go, really? And then they want to dig. Those are the two things I say.
Exactly. It's just once you get in it, it's like you can't get out. When I first met with Zach, his first question out of his mouth to me was, do you think I'm innocent? And I've been asked that a lot of times. I really felt the pull to give him the reassurance he wanted, because you could tell that it mattered a lot. And I was worried I was going to break the credibility with him if I didn't say yes, because you could tell he really needed that. My credibility is the truth. And so I don't lie I'm not going to start with you'll have to deal. I told him, I don't know yet. I hope you are, because otherwise this is a waste of time. And it's been a lot of gas, but
getting to the bottom of this trial.
I know it's physically impossible for him to have done it. It's physically impossible.
Yeah. Well, and there's a couple of things you were talking about. How do you know? And this case does defy any kind of an elevator pitch explanation. However, if you wanted to do one, you could say, well, there is not one shred of physical evidence at all to connect any of the four defendants to Holly Bobo after a 6-year investigation that is the most costly, thorough, and extensive investigation ever conducted by the TBI. Not a single hair, blood, fingerprint, photo, nothing. Not a piece of clothing, nothing is connecting them to this.
Nothing.
Second, I've never seen this happen. 3 members of the original investigatory team, 3 senior members, the ranking TBI agent, the ranking FBI agent, and a United States Marshal, came to the conclusion that they didn't do it, and came to the trial and testified as such. And the state's proof included using a multiple-time violent sex offender who had kidnapped and raped women more than once they put him up there and vouched for his innocence, and then facilitated him mocking the 3 law enforcement agents I just talked about. We haven't even gotten to the Victor Dinsmore role in this case. We haven't even gotten to the false confession. We haven't even gotten there yet.
No.
And yet, and when all this came out, this is astonishing to me. Not a single piece of evidence that was admitted, and no witness testimony was offered that was either not on the hard drive given to the defense in 2017 to work with, or a work product that would have been easy to make from it. So there's only a couple of witnesses who came in and testified about things like Dillon, the PI that ran the route and everything. Like there was only a couple.
That's not on court TV, so if they didn't see a live stream, they probably didn't get that. But
so,
Paul Dillon was still covering stuff that was in the file.
Right. So everything that Doug showed Judge Bradbury in this trial was available to the defendant then and not used in the way that Doug did it. And when all of that happened, the state's witnesses started doing this. Well, I don't think that. No, that's what they told me.
Yep.
I don't remember. I was in a meeting, but I don't know who said what. And even now, they cannot discuss, they cannot tell you a coherent theory for what happened to Holly Bobo. They just know they're right.
They're just all deflecting and not wanting to be responsible for any of the choices. It's whenever the witnesses witnesses that are deflecting, it's like witnesses are either trying to get the information out or keep it in, and witnesses are. It was very one-sided, I thought, in terms of
very much so.
Well, even now, the state can't tell you who took Holly Bobo off the property. Even now, they can't tell you who dumped her body or when.
She says that in the closing.
Even now, they cannot tell you certain things that should be fundamentally known for a fact before they indict anyone.
I agree.
And it's an astonishing. If I were teaching law school and you gave me 20 students who wanted to be trial lawyers and 18 months, I would use this case and I would say,
oh yeah,
I don't need
what
a textbook.
Not to do.
All I need you to do is go buy one of these and take your hard drive home, and we'll get started.
Yep.
And so everything that really was put on, I think this is an important piece of it as well. Really, everything that was put on in the case in terms of the witnesses and their testimony, what they're presenting, was stuff that they collected or manufactured after Zach was arrested. Because Zach was arrested in February of 2014. Before there was a body.
There was a body, yes.
Before there was an alleged confession.
That day, Mark Gwynn, the then TBI director, was on television saying he hoped to bring Holly home safely.
And if you take Jason Autry and Victor Dinsmore's testimony away from this trial, and you should, for the reasons that we've covered on our podcast.
Absolutely.
If you go back and say to yourself, I don't believe Jason Autry's testimony at the trial, and I don't believe Victor Dinsmore's testimony at the trial, all you have left, literally, is 6 or 8 or 10 snitches from jail or
which
bars,
I don't believe them either.
Who
oh yeah,
right. But that's all you have left.
Yeah, there is no other evidence.
None.
That's the thing.
None.
There's nothing there. You're toast. There's no case. One of the things that is really important to me, and this will probably be one of the last things that we discuss, unless there's something y'all want to touch on, but I don't want to forget to ask about this. How is Zach doing with all of this?
He's in good spirits. He, it's like, I think hope can be dangerous in a sense.
I know, that's why I'm asking. I'm so worried that he's going to have some soul crushing loss from this. And so that's why I was asking the question. We all believe and think that Judge Bradbury is going to come back in 90 days. It sounds like he's going to need all of that. And
they're going to get out. I'm not kidding. They will get out. I don't know what.
I'm always so worried because I've seen
goes. Well, maybe Judge Bradbury will do something crazy. I don't think so. I've been super impressed with him. But whatever happens, they'll get out.
I feel really most positively about this particular case than pretty much any that I have covered. It is so difficult to get someone out once they're in.
It is, and it's terrifying because there are a lot of people where it changes your. Once you pull the curtain back,
your baseline changes.
Terrifying.
Yeah. And so that's kind of why I was asking, is he prepared that it might not go that way? And then secondly, I know that my understanding is the prosecution can then appeal the judge's decision. So he's still going to be staying behind bars for all of that as well. And that could take years.
The way he put it to me was that he felt like he lost his life when he was convicted and he made peace with that. So everything else is a bonus.
Gotcha. Well, that's a good way to look at it. And I just hope if you all get an opportunity to talk to him, that you please let him know there are so many people that see what was done to him. And it doesn't matter what his past is. It doesn't matter the kind of character that they've tried to portray him to be. We all see that none of that should have anything to do with anything. If you're,
I think, and I think Zach because he's gotten his, got drugged through the mud like no other. I think Zach's a good person. I think Zach's a good person that had a real bad drug problem, and there's no one that doesn't look like a devil when they're on meth. And so I'm sure a lot of
drugs were a big deal in rural Tennessee at that time. I mean,
yes, because
it was
still
horrible.
The area does.
Still is.
The area is not. They don't have access to services. The resources are not there. The economy is awful. And there's a shit ton of corrupt law enforcement who are profiting on bringing the illegal drugs in. They're distributing them to people, and then they're arresting them enough to meet their quotas. And the law enforcement is getting rich, and they're all living by the lake in these mansions, living it up. And then you've got people that are addicted to meth, and then you blame them for their addiction.
Here's what I would tell you. If you're traveling in that part of Tennessee and you want to distinguish between the good guys and the bad guys, don't rely on the badge.
Right. Yeah. And I
will say though, I want to get this out because I talk to Zach regularly. He is so incredibly grateful for the support. The onslaught of negative comments and when everyone thinks you're guilty, the weight that you feel under that, the hope that because that's another thing that Doug and I have gone back and forth on when Nichols was really given a lot of pressure wanting the publicity angle of this to go down. And I'm advocating Zach's position on it is what's the point of me getting out of prison if everyone thinks I committed this crime? If I can't clear my name and show my innocence, that's not freedom just because I'm not in a cell. And I completely agree. I think like they deserve to be exonerated and show that they did not do this and to get some, I don't know what you call it, some relief.
Yeah. Unfortunately, no matter what happens next, and if you ever want to have a big fight with Dr. Spirko, just hedge and say, I don't know, they may or may not get out. That'll start a fight. But,
no, but Zach says that everyone in the jail is treating him differently. That he can tell by the staff that it's getting attention and that people realize he's innocent. And he is so thankful and appreciative for that. And I'll post on if you follow our social media, we're on Instagram and TikTok. If you follow that, I'll post his and Dylan's address if anyone, they like to get
Oh,
better. They
absolutely. I was
love
going
that
to
you
ask if
write
there
to
was
them.
something we could do.
They would like
But
that.
the tragedy here is that Holly Bobo's dead. It's likely that her killer will never be prosecuted properly. Shane Austin is dead because he was beaten down by a system unfairly
His
and past
goat
his
walker has Shane Austin's
past his
license.
breaking point.
I'm not saying
Zach
that.
and Dylan have been in prison for
Ugh.
14 years or 12 years or whatever, 12 years, whatever it's been. There's no, I mean, I'm reasonably optimistic that at some point, Zach and Dylan are going to get the right relief from the system. None of that's going to unwind or
No.
undo the tragedy that has spread across so many families. And none of it is going to adequately purge the bad actors who were rewarded or who participated in this, and maybe some of the law enforcement officers who had this thing right and did the right thing for the right reason will be vindicated. But like the number of families that have been shattered and destroyed in pursuit of this unbelievable
Narrative.
wrong
Yeah.
is it there is no remedy big enough for this.
No, and it's I have talked about this in my on my channel a lot, that I lived in Tennessee when this all went down. So I feel like I have a unique perspective of what it was like to be just an everyday citizen and hearing what the media was saying. And there was just no question in my mind the way they portrayed it. Of course, these guys did it. This is who it was. And it wasn't until years later, not even in the past 12 months, but years before this all went down, that I started hearing rumblings about no. These young men did not do this. This needs to be looked into. There's something more going on. And I was like, no. Because that narrative was being fed over and over and over again in the evening news every single day. And so I completely understand how he feels like, what's the point kind of thing. But
and we're
yes,
in it. I mean, we work in it. We're like, I think because of our interest and our focus, probably give more thought than, I mean, imagine people that's not what they're focusing their life on.
Right.
It's so easy to you just assume they must be guilty, or why would they be arrested? You just don't even imagine the kind of.
No, I never would have thought that there would be this type of corruption. And
no, because you don't want to live in a world where this is even remotely possible. Because with what happened to Shane and Jason and Dylan and Zach, and what didn't happen to the person that should have been prosecuted here, your brain doesn't want to live in the world where that's possible. Your brain is much more likely to gravitate towards, oh, nice and tidy, 4 meth addicts, throw them away, we're done.
Right.
And even if it's possible, I think when you end up in a situation like that, it's hard. It's like to think that you're in that situation, because there's just something different. Like, I think about this a lot. In Nazi Germany, it was against the law to hide Jewish people. We look back like it would have been courageous and they're doing but at the time, I'm sure they were not treated like they're doing the right thing. It's not even like, oh, you're brave, but you might get killed. No, the Nazis were the good guys then, and everyone was supposed to be doing. So it's that level of
that do right, be right thing again.
Yeah, that gaslighting thing where it's like, you're a criminal. I mean, I would call Dana and like, you don't know. I mean, did I commit some crime? wanted to throw me in prison. I got excited when she said I subpoenaed somebody because I thought for a hot minute before you corrected me that I could do that.
That's the saddest moment in the whole thing.
Oh my gosh. I said,
When I had to tell Katie, no, Katie, you cannot issue subpoenas.
Doggone it. I thought I passed the bar and was able to do that.
There must be some flaws, surely, if she's accusing me. Nope.
So I have to tell you, please send me address information, because I absolutely want to make sure that we can send as much positivity to these two young men.
Love that.
I've said many times, and recently I had a Festivus celebration, and I remember saying, if you don't know why you have a YouTube channel, you just want to sit on here and talk about drama and other people's channels, then you've kind of lost the plot. And I maintain that. And, my channel, the reason I try to bring attention to cases is because if there is something like this, I want everybody that can possibly know about it to know about it. I think it was last week I did the Kyron Lacey case, and that is just as egregious. The advantage is that sometimes, like in that case, you have a district attorney's office that goes, wait a minute, this is not what happened. These facts do not match. And so our checks and balances worked out properly in that case. Unfortunately, much like Shane Austin, a young man lost his life because the pressure of everything being said was too much. So I want to make sure that Dylan and Zach have as much positivity as possible. So yes, get me the addresses. I'll pin it or put it in the show description so everyone can go there and send some positivity to them. Are there any things that that they prefer or that they're into or anything like that we can maybe cater to some of those needs?
There are certain books that they both like to read.
Terry Dykes's
types of books. Zach had Terry Dykes's book and they took it as contraband.
What?
Now, let me say before you get excited, Tennessee has one of the most restrictive sets of policies and rules about how and what you can send to an inmate at the TDOC. So before you attempt to send anything other than just a piece of mail,
right? I'm saying like art or anything like that. Drawings, things like that.
Like in Tennessee, to send something to a prisoner like a book, it has to come from the publisher. All this stuff, and
something because you have to send it.
And it can only be so big, and it can only have so many and there's certain topics that are completely banned, and so.
Yes, please.
Yeah,
I'll post on our social media. It's Trial and Error Podcast with underscores throughout, and then I'll send it directly to YouTube. But cause I have one somewhere that has you can't have anything with glue or glitter. You can't spray it with anything that smells.
Gotcha.
No nudies. Yep. But
we know all about that after watching Karen Reed. No nudes so far. Mm-hmm. So that would be great.
That, and I'll put what they're kind of both into, and the information for where to mail or where to send books. And speaking on what you said about the YouTube channel, and I kind of think of it as there's harvesting and there's planting seeds, because we don't all. It's we all have our turns sometimes for things that happen where I'm going to dive into this head first and this is the sword I'm going to, fall on.
Right.
And then we can't all do that with every worthy cause, but just talking about the case, sharing it to someone, sending it to someone, the YouTube community has been a huge source. Even when you're posting comments and you post some funny comment about Nichols on the YouTube wall, Cindy Adams is probably reading that, and that's probably helping her get through the day. And to have a community that is supporting a cause in and of itself.
Well, and just I kind of feel like
more than you all know.
That I've said in the past, my logo for my channel is the scales of justice with a magnifying glass over the scales of justice, because that is exactly what we are trying to do here, is to keep everyone honest and make sure there aren't any shenanigans going on. And if there are, then let's get the word out so we can try to do something about it, because this is how a democracy works, where you
And
actually
we
have
are
a
more
say in it.
powerful than we realize. We just
Yes.
need to our vulnerability is us not realizing how much influence we have, but we
Yep.
have a lot when we band together with a cause. And
Yeah, when Katie and I started this, I was like, we are shouting into the wind. Like, I'm willing to do it. I'm gonna do it.
And who knew?
Like, we knew that we were burning professional bridges. We knew that we were taking steps that could not be undone, and that there would be places and people that we could not ever revisit. Um, and it's I don't want to say gratifying, but
It
a year
is.
later,
it's relieving, because it's terrifying
yeah,
feeling like you're putting all of this in and then no one's going to listen and it's just going to fall and they're going to be in prison forever. And
so to have other people come along and pay attention and share the story and invite us on to tell what we know, it is making it. We would have done it anyway.
Well, and
but
it's
it is
funny.
making it all worthwhile as we wait for Judge Bradbury's opinion.
Well, and it's
my
funny you
memes ain't
say
worth
that.
a nickel if I don't use them for good. Exactly. Memes for good. Memes for justice. We should
Yes.
do a memes for justice pager.
So before I don't know if y'all know the story of how I even came into any sort of forefront in having a YouTube channel. I had planned on doing it, and then it kind of happened a little quicker than I was originally anticipating. But in middle August, I watched all of the hearings that were available. And that was before I was active on my YouTube channel. I was just doing TikToks at that time. And at that time, I was like, what is happening in this case right now? And so as soon as I got a YouTube channel and I had any sort of following, I started talking about it. Like, y'all, we need to know, you got to pay attention to what's happening in Zach Adams' case. It's the Holly Bobo murder in Tennessee. And we've just been on the mantra, because the minute I watched that first hearing in August, because I didn't see the ones in March, but I did see the ones in August, and I was like, oh, there's something here. We need to continue watching. And then it just got worse. And I didn't think that was possible.
If I could have done anything, I wish I could have had like watch parties and watched it, because I'm so fascinated to know what other people are thinking. If anyone's watching the trial, just like message me on Instagram and we'll so I can message and know your thoughts as you're watching it, and I'll go rewatch it.
That's totally what we do here.
Because you get so into it where it's like, I know all these things that aren't public knowledge. So how much is that influencing? It's so fascinating for me to know what other people their feedback.
Well, and that's one of the cool things
coming across.
That's one of the cool things I like about having my channel is I have done a couple trial replays, and it's been, we go into it trying very hard to not know a ton, but kind of have a framework, a little summary. And then we sit down and we watch and let's see what evidence comes in. Let's see what they prove. Let's see what is actually. So we really I try to have it completely from a juror's perspective. And I don't think I had that kind of thought process until I watched the Karen Reed trial, the first season. And I was all like, okay, they're going to prove this to me. And then we got to red Solo cups and Stop and Shop bags. And I went, what is going on right now? And then I was done. Then I was riveted, because I'm like, well, how bad can this get? Because that's pretty bad. And so, yes, that is what I, want to continue to do on my channel. I love to have guests like you and Dana to discuss all the parts of the puzzle pieces that we were not able to see. And so I'm
every time I go back and watch pieces of it, I'm like, how did I miss that the first 5 times? Like Katie and I were recording something the other day, and we were watching something that I was at, and I'm sitting there going, oh my God, how did I miss that? Like, it
can happen. We did an actual, I have a video. There's a video of it where you're supposed to watch people, and Katie, you probably know about this. You're supposed to watch how many times people pass a basketball.
Right. I've seen this.
And then all of a sudden at the end, they're like, okay, did everybody see the moonwalking bear? And you're like, huh?
Yeah, and you don't
What?
believe it happened.
You're like, there was no moonwalking bear. And
every
then bam, there
Yeah.
it is.
I'm
And
like the ADHD poster child. I always see the bear. I don't realize they're playing basketball. I'm like, bears.
Ooh, look, a bear.
well,
DB said Defense Diaries is going to be watching the trial with his audience soon. I think Dana and I are going to hop on with him at some point. He's going to.
Yeah, I would love to hook up with Bob and Allie too. I really, really like them a lot. Even though he's a Bears fan, but I'll let that slide for now.
He curses like a sailor, so I'm sure he and I will get along.
Yeah, and I don't curse at all.
I tried to be good.
Oh, you're fine. No, it's just something that's a choice I make.
It's a good choice.
Well, I try to make good choices.
I try to make interesting ones.
So I do want to, is there anything that the two of you want to cover before I say goodnight this evening?
Stay tuned for Katie kind of let it out of the bag, but I think we're pretty sure that we're going to have an exclusive first time ever sharing the Karen Janet Britt.
I know she like makes my skin crawl that her first name is Janet.
Oh, wait.
Like, don't
you say that about you can be the good Janet. Now we have a good
a good Janet and a bad Janet. Okay, yeah,
there we go. Right, that's actually great.
Whatever you think.
I'm jealous that there's not a Katie out of 7 wives.
Whatever you think, the wife of 2 different convicted sex offenders would sound like in a trailer in West Tennessee, you're getting there.
But
you're getting there.
Weirder. So I think Thursday, Kat and Lana from Truth and Transparency.
Oh, Lana, I just reached out to her too. Oh,
come on. We're gonna release the interview on Jan Britt and drop that, so everyone's gonna finally get to hear Jan Britt for the first time. So that is gonna, I think, be Thursday, and we'll put something out and drop it. And Dog Bowtie Batty he's a Cat Not Williams fan, but still not a a Trial and Error fan yet.
Who?
You'll be next. Dog. Dogs like that. Who's that Cat Not Williams? Is she a lawyer? She should go to law school. She's phenomenal. Going on. It's like, Doug, shut up, because you have been hard on us about this podcast thing the whole time, and then you're gonna go sing her praises, say something nice about me, or I hang up.
It's funny because I have told my channel followers that someone close to the defense team has reached out to me, and that is absolutely true. There have been individuals close to the defense team that have reached out to me, so I knew
someone on the defense team
reached out to me.
Are we talking about this case?
Yeah. I was saying that in this case,
I mean, I'm on the defense team. I'm an agent of.
Well, that's true, but that was before I had any interaction with you guys.
Okay, I got it.
And so I knew they were paying attention to what was happening in social media, because there was communication with me about what my coverage was. And so, which is good. That's the whole point. Tell me what you want to get out there. And, I don't have a huge following. I hope it continues to grow so that we can have more visibility for these things. That's part of the reason I was reaching out to Lana, because she has been covering the Ohio murders like heavy duty, and I really wanted to talk to her about that. So yes,
yeah, we'll talk more and we'll get connected, because
yes.
I think it's so important to be putting it out there for the public scrutiny. I think makes everything in the criminal justice system better. I think we need to
keeps everyone honest.
Mm-hmm.
All righty. Well, with that, Thank you so much for coming on. I know I think I started talking to you guys in the middle or end of December about coming on. So I'm so thankful that you both agreed to come on here. You are welcome back anytime. If there's something you want to spread the word on, you just let me know and say the word and we'll do it again.
Thank you so much for having us. And we'll be dropping something soon. We're putting Mario music behind lyrics.
I think Kat's going to give me possibly a link for you said Thursday?
Yeah.
Okay. So that'll be a fun time.
Perfect. Yeah. We'll touch base and we'll like join forces and
yes,
everyone into one.
Power to the people. Oh, power to the podcast.
Power of the podcast. Yes. We need to, I'm going to add all of your faces in it and it can be all of it. It's power of the podcast. It's a movement.
Yep. We're a movement now.
It's a movement.
Thank you so much, both of you. And I hope you have a delightful remainder of your evening. And I'm going to try to catch some football here shortly.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you both so much. All righty, guys. How about that? Well, that was fun. And we're going to get some more details. I'm excited. I wasn't planning on live streaming on Thursday, but I'm surely going to get on with them. Are you kidding me? Everybody, remember to do the Tubes of You things, like, subscribe, become a member. It's going to be, I'm going to have some cool stuff for members only. Thank you to Replay Crew. Thank you to all of you that showed up and joined in the chat. I truly appreciate each and every one of you having an interest in this case and wanting to put additional attention. It looks like we'll be going live on Thursday. I am still planning on doing Wine and Crime Wednesday. That's going to be touch and go. I have, real life stuff I have to do tomorrow night. So I might get a little tired and not be able to do Wine and Crime on Wednesday. If I do, I'm going to cover a summary on Anna Kepner. Anna Kepner is the young lady that was found deceased in the cruise ship. And there's a lot of shenanigans with the family. I feel like we need to talk about it. So that if I do a Wednesday stream, it will be about Anna Kepner. And I think that's everything. It looks like I'm going to try to get together with Kat, not Williams, and Lana for Thursday. I hope it's an evening stream because I have that pesky day job. But if not, I can always pop on after if it's still going or whatever. So thank you again. Y'all have a great evening. And remember, it doesn't cost a penny to be kind. So find someone to do something nice for today if you haven't already. And always, always